Join us out here in the mountains of Guanajuato, Mexico, as we have a small medical emergency that we need to handle. One of my biggest concerns moving out here to Guanajuato, Mexico after my husband self-deported from Minnesota was how are we going to handle medical emergencies when we're so far away from cities and hospitals and clinics. Our youngest son, Junior, who was born here in Mexico, all of a sudden started feeling ill last night, and then his face started swelling, mostly around his mouth. About 5 hours before the swelling, he did complain that he got hit in the mouth when he was playing outside with his siblings, but we found it really strange that all of a sudden the swelling started coming so many hours later. Looking back now, we do realize that he had a new sucker that he had never tried before, and right after he started eating that, he did have the swelling start up. And he was also in a lot of pain, so he went to bed that night with us, and I stayed up a lot of the night monitoring him. I was a CNA for many years, so I did feel capable of taking care of him and monitoring him. So early that morning, his pain intensified and his lip continued to swell, so I didn't feel comfortable taking care of him at home anymore. So we drove into town, constantly monitoring him, and he seemed to be doing a little bit better and kind of just maintaining, so we quick stopped here at Oxo for a coffee. Where our homestead is located, we're about 20 minutes from a local doctor and about 30 minutes from an emergency room. Also, ambulances do not service our area, and police will even rarely visit. And can you believe, with my large family living out here for almost 6 years now in June, today will be the first day that we really considered wanting to use any of these services that aren't available to us with our small emergency. And for those of you that are concerned about us stopping for a coffee during all of this, I can assure you that Junior was maintaining, he was breathing well, and he was doing just fine. And at this Oxo that we stopped at, there is a hospital right across the street. At this point, we were really trying to figure out what was going to be our next step because we didn't really know the cause of the swelling. So considering all of his symptoms and all of the potential causes, from allergic reaction to a bee sting or an insect bite to an injury, we weren't sure if we were going to head to the ER or head to a pediatric dentist. And it being Sunday here in Mexico, it made it extra difficult because a lot of the regular doctors and dentists aren't even open today. So I went to Google and I searched for pediatric dentists, and I found some in the next city over, which is Santiago de Querétaro. So we decided to head there since he was still maintaining. Since at this point we were going at 10 hours since he started to feel ill, I felt like it could have been more likely an infection or an injury in his mouth rather than an allergic reaction. So now we're heading to a suburb of Santiago de Querétaro called Santa Rosa. This is where I found the nearest pediatric dentist that was also open on Sundays, thank the Lord. And by the time that we reach this dentist, we'll be an hour away from our home out in the mountains of Guanajuato. So we left our state of Guanajuato and entered in another state in Mexico called Querétaro. And then we entered into the colony of Santa Rosa. This colony or suburb is famous for their carnitas in the morning and then their street tacos at night. And here's the dentist that I found on Google. We don't have an appointment. We're just going to walk in and see if they can see Junior. And they said they'll definitely see Junior. They're not going to turn him down, and they're going to fit us in between their other appointments. Walking into this clinic, I felt really comfortable with them seeing Junior. It was really clean and comfortable and looked like they knew how to deal with children. I did ask to record a little bit of the clinic room, and this is what it looks like. She had a hard time opening Junior's mouth and looking inside, so she's going to prescribe him an antibiotic for a little bit of an infection that she saw on one of his teeth. And then she asked us to come back tomorrow at 3 p.m. for another appointment, an exam, and x-rays. To my surprise, this dentist spoke English, and that made me feel even better about being here. Pa and I even talked about bringing the kids here regularly instead of the other clinic that we used to bring them to. This visit to the dentist, which included his exam and a written prescription, was 500 pesos, and that's about 30 US dollars. Now that Junior's taken care of, we need to go and fill his prescription, and then we're gonna go find these famous carnitas in Santa Rosa, Hawaii. This is what I know to be the most popular pharmacy here in Mexico, Farmacias Familiares. This pharmacy carries all of the generic forms of all of the prescriptions, so it's really affordable. Junior was prescribed amoxicillin and then some ibuprofen for pain relief. Both of his medications came up to be about 100 pesos or about 6 or 7 US dollars. And here's the mascot for this pharmacy, a little chubby grandpa. Isn't he cute?
Le pone otro de este.
¿Va a hacer algo más?
Este sí tiene como un sabor para ponerle aquí para que se lo tome así con sabor.
¿Cómo
O
que
eso
un
no
sabor?
tiene sabor.
Ajá.
And here is the Central Jardín or Garden in Santa Rosa, Hawaii. It's Sunday morning, so it looks like they're having their local market, so everybody's out and about shopping and going to church.
Buenos días, bienvenidos. Pásenle todos los taquitos, comida y quesadillas. Estaba frío, dice, para el pinche frío. Lo mismo para el frío.
I wanted Junior to start his prescription right away, so I thought I was going to be giving him some of his amoxicillin, but then I realized it wasn't mixed and it still needed water, so we're going to have to wait for that for later. Because of the music that they had playing in the background here at the restaurant, I had to mute the video. But look at Junior was feeling good enough to actually drink and eat something, and as a mama, that made my heart so happy. Here is this restaurant's menu that specializes in carnitas, so they have tacos, gorditas, sopes, and here's Junior with a skin taco. I ordered a taco and a gordita, and here I'm fixing my taco with, of course, my favorite, pico de gallo, some lime, and a little bit of salsa. Thank you so much for being here with our family on this journey here in Guanajuato after my husband self-deported. We really appreciate everybody being here with us and watching our videos. Adios.